force to be reckoned with. As
In preschool this year.
Where does he go?
That's Lincoln's thing, but it rolls
Oh, yeah,
out.
Rosa. Lucky you.
Might move him to Holy Rosary next year, we'll see.
well, and they have
My
to
grandson,
watch.
who's turning 5 today, is at the Community Alliance.
Oh,
My mom back here that was open, and they were just glad to have some friends.
right,
I think they're on the waiting list to get into whatever community ed.
yeah. Yeah, we're on the waiting list for the after hours care. They're also gonna pick them up at 3:25, which I can, but
Yeah, they're, would have been at Rossman, which is literally half a block. They could walk and have this.
All right, well, that one says 5:29, that one says 5:30, so I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go ahead and call this planning commission meeting to order. We'll start with, well, I'm assuming you have attendance covered, all right. We'll go for minutes. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 25th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we have 4 public hearings. I'm going to go in order tonight. Here's how this will work. Basically, I will call each public hearing to order. We'll go through a quick staff report, and then I'll give anyone who would like to comment an opportunity to come up to the podium, state your name and address, and then address the commission. Please address all your comments to the commission, not the audience. And, try to limit to a couple of minutes if you could, please, so that we can get through all of these in a timely fashion to the best of your ability. Of course, we'll do our best to give you as much time as needed as well to address your issues. The way that this works is we will then discuss, after I close the public hearing, we will make a decision here. That will carry forward to the Community Development Committee as a recommendation. The CDC meets this month on Monday, November 10th at 11:30 in the morning, right in that back room over there behind the double doors. And then they will review it, make a recommendation to the council, who will then meet that same day, Monday, November 10th, right here in the council at 5 p.m. And that's where the final decision happens. All right, with that, I am going to go ahead and call to order a public hearing to give consideration to a variance to allow construction of a 6-foot privacy fence in the front yard instead of the required 3-foot privacy fence at 1397 Burroughs Road. Larry.
Yes, Kathy Kidden has presented a request for a variance.
Larry, can you check your mic really quick?
I got the green light, so I should be good.
Perfect, thank you.
So Kathy Kinnunen at 1397 Burroughs Road has asked for a variance for a 6-foot-high fence in the front yard toward the street. 6-foot-high fence is needed for privacy, and the applicant has asked the Planning Commission to consider the following findings. 1, the variance is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, as many properties in the city have a fence for privacy. 2, the variance is consistent with the comprehensive plan, as a fence is a common use in a residential district. 3, the proposal will put the property to use in a reasonable manner, as it will allow a privacy fence on the street side of the lot, and this lot has 3 street sides. 4, there are circumstances unique to the property, since this lot has streets on 3 sides. Also, the elevation of the lot is lower in the area where the fence is to be located, so a 3-foot-high fence would be ineffective. 5, the variance will maintain the essential character of the locality. There are no residences nearby that would be impacted by the 6-foot-high fence. Staff recommends approval of the variance based on the findings listed above and subject to the following conditions. 1, that the 6-foot-high fence is allowed only on the east side of the driveway as shown on the approved site plan, so it wouldn't be allowed to be on the side next to the intersection of Burroughs Road and East Shore Drive. And 2, that the fence be set back at least 5 feet from the property lines and be constructed as shown on the approved site plan.
Great, thanks, Larry. All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. If someone would like to address the commission and make a comment, please come forward to the podium now.
I'm Kathy.
Can you just get, when you get up to the mic, that way we've got it. Thank
I
you.
just bought the house about 2 months ago,
Okay,
and Kelsey here said I could landscape to my heart's content, and I did. I planted 18 trees.
nice.
But I have a view of Highway 10 and the service road that dumps out right at my driveway onto Highway 10. So I have semis and everything else going by all the time. And I have a 6-foot drop off from the street level down to my yard, so if I have to set it back 6 feet, I'd be 6 feet below where I would like to put the fence.
Okay. You were talking about the requirement to do a setback at least 5 feet from the property line?
Right.
Okay.
Right, because I have a 5 or 6 foot drop off from the street level down to my yard, so if I put a 6-foot fence down here, it's really not gonna block anything out.
So are you suggesting that you want it up at the property line, or?
Well, on my property, you know, a few inches back or whatever.
That seems reasonable. It's not a huge issue.
Just because I have such a big drop off from, you know, coming down from, well, basically East Shore Drive, I guess is what you'd call it, down to my yard. It's quite a drop off.
Are you talking about on the side that the staff has recommended, the east side?
Yes.
Not the west side? You're just addressing the side that he is suggesting that we approve?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because the other side has a stop sign and stuff, so.
So where do you want the sign to be located? I'm not clear.
The fence
Yeah, or the fence, I mean,
on the right side of my driveway, it faces Highway 10.
right? But the distance from the property line to make it effective for you, I'm trying to understand.
It would need to be pretty close to the property line, because if it was 5 feet farther down, I'd be on, 5 feet lower.
And it wouldn't accomplish your intended.
It wouldn't accomplish anything.
Okay. Okay, any further comments, Kathy?
There's the map that shows the location of the fence. So she
Thanks,
would be
Larry.
allowed to have the fence on the right side, but not on the left side towards Burrows Road.
Right.
Okay. Anything else, Kathy?
No, I didn't realize I had so many front yards when I bought the property. I assumed it was my backyard.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Kathy, when you were looking at considering, and I noticed in your variance application, you said you installed 18 trees. Did you consider using that as a viewing variance? Because that was one of your primary reasons for the fence, was due to the view that, and blocking.
It's gonna be many, many years till till those trees are gonna block anything out.
But did you, when you did your landscaping to Kelsey's heart's content, did you consider that as part of your viewing element?
I tried to do that first, and I figured if it doesn't block out enough, then I'm gonna have to look at a fence, so.
Thank
I
you.
did landscape to my heart's content.
Great, thanks, Kathy. All
Questions? Okay, thank you.
right, is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on this issue? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up for discussion and a motion from the commission.
I do have a question for Larry, if that's possible. Larry, and you may not be able to answer, but I noticed we're looking at the fencing to be going around towards the, I don't want to call it a frontage road, because I'm not really sure what that road is. Is there intention in the future to look at development or closing of that particular? Anybody have any clue what's?
You want me
Sorry.
to, I can address that. To change the intersection here on Highway 10. And so they would close off 209, the access at 290th, and the access would be down towards East Shore Drive onto Highway 10. That would happen in 2029.
I think it's the other way around.
Did I,
Yeah, the East Shore access would close and
Oh, I'm
actually, the access on Highway 10 would be on 290th. And then MinDOT is intending to develop a J-churn for that site.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion or questions from the commission?
Yeah, I just want to clarify the lot size again. In our packet, Larry, the blue line that you have drawn is where the fence is going to be located. So basically just follows that part of the property.
Yes,
It's not making a turn to go back into any of the yard, and it's not going any further down where the trees are. Is that correct?
that is correct.
All right, any further discussion or a motion?
Just for clarity's sake, so they're allowed a 3-foot in the front yard, but we are considering the 6-foot because of the elevation change to be more or less a 3-foot?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion or a motion?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve the request for a variance with the consideration that the fence be only on the east side and 5 feet from the property line, as stated in the recommendation.
Okay, we have a second. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the variance with the findings and conditions as stated by the staff. Any discussion on the
Were you
motion?
going to eliminate the 5-foot setback condition?
The 5 feet.
She would like to have it
no,
right up
the
against the
5 feet is
property
coming
line.
in from the property line.
Correct.
And that actually makes it go lower than where the property line is.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So it can't be on the property line to give her more height,
Well, not with that
if that
condition.
recommendation.
If we remove that condition, then she could put it up towards the property line.
And what's the normal distance
Well,
from the
there's
property
no-
line with the 6-foot fence?
There's no
On a
setback,
road like
there's no
that.
setback requirement for a
There's no
fence.
setback requirement.
Is there a specific reason that you added a setback requirement to this one?
I think I was just thinking about the length of the fence and the size. And of course, I didn't get out and measure exactly where the property line was, so that particular part of the elevation was maybe lost on me. So I think that the request is reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I would like her to have the best visibility. It's a busy intersection. I go by that intersection every time I come to town. And to give her some screening would be nice. So I guess I would like to, I'd like to change my,
Yes.
yeah, I'd like to go back and approve the 6-foot fence only on the east side, but have no setback for 5 feet.
Okay,
I just don't think there's any, sometimes when it gets so close to the property line, we consider the safety and visibility, but there just isn't any visibility or safety coming from that east side of the property anyway.
Chris, are you
I
good
will
with that?
second that, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have updated that, now we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the variance with the findings and the conditions minus number 2 for the setback, otherwise as recommended by city staff. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Kathy, so we're gonna take that recommendation. It'll be at CDC and the council on Monday, the 10th. All right, thanks. All right, let's go to 3B. Let me get back to my agenda here, 1 second. We're gonna go to, I'm gonna go ahead and open a public hearing to give consideration to a variance to allow a 5-foot side yard setback on both sides instead of the required 10-foot side yard setback on both sides to construct a new home at 150 Shorewood Drive. Larry?
Yes, this is a request from Drew Larson to have a 5-foot side yard setback on both sides of his new house that he's building at 150 Shorewood Drive. We have reviewed the plans and recommend approval of the variance, subject to the following findings. In your opinion, is the variance in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance? Yes, allowing 2 5-foot side yard setbacks is in keeping with the intent of the ordinance. 2, in your opinion, is the variance consistent with the comprehensive plan? Yes, it's a residential use in a residential district. 3, does the proposal put the property to use in a reasonable manner? Yes, a home with a 5-foot side yard setback is a reasonable use of the property and is not uncommon in this area. In fact, the existing house that's on the lot now has one of the side yard setbacks that's even closer than 5 feet. In your opinion, are the circumstances unique to the property? Yes, the lot is only 50 feet wide and the house that's proposed is 36 by 40. Also, the side lot lines are not parallel. Number 5, will the variance maintain the essential character of the locality? The variance will not alter the essential character of the locality as there are many side yard setbacks that are less than 10 feet in this area.
All right, thanks, Larry. All right, this time I'll go ahead and open it up for comment. If you'd like to address the commission, please come forward and state your name and address. Are there any comments on this? Any public comments on this variance? Any public comments? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion. Anyone have anything to say or make a motion?
I do have one question, Larry. I know you noticed that you didn't put it in your findings of facts, but from my understanding of the new construction, it actually is going to take and move the house off of the almost property line setback at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion or motion
I'll make a motion to approve.
with the findings as
Yes.
stated? Okay, is there a second?
I would second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the variance with the findings as stated. Any additional discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Drew, that'll come to the council, CDC and council on Monday, the 10th. All right, let's go to item 3C. I'm going to call to order a public hearing to give consideration to a non-conforming use expansion permit to enlarge the coffee shop within an existing structure and to a parking variance to allow 9 off-site parking spaces to satisfy the parking requirements at 702 West Lake Drive. Larry?
This is a request for the coffee shop at 1102 West Lake Drive. Or, excuse me, what did I say? 702, excuse me. So they have submitted a request for a non-conforming use expansion permit and a parking variance. The non-conforming use expansion permit involves expanding the current 238 square foot coffee shop to 983 square feet with the following breakdown of uses. The dining area would be 383 square feet, so they would have seating for about a dozen people. The kitchen and prep area would be 350 square feet, and restrooms and storage would be another 250 square feet. All of the required expansion will take place in the existing building, and there will be no additional construction or additions constructed on the site. The parking variance is needed because of the non-conforming use expansion. The site currently has 14 spaces, which the owner plans to reconfigure to provide 18 parking spaces on the site. With the expansion, the total number of parking spaces required would be 27. The applicant has 2 options for taking care of the parking variance. Option 1 is to have the city grant a variance and not require the 9 additional parking spaces. If we choose that option, they are also requesting a waiver of the $2,500 per space parking fee that is charged for those types of variances. Option 2 is to provide the 9 parking spaces on the fairgrounds. This lot is 350 feet from the front entrance of the copy shop, which requires a variance since our ordinance typically requires the lot to be within 300 feet. Staff is recommending approval of the nonconforming use expansion permit to allow the coffee shop to expand from 238 square feet to 983 square feet with the existing structure, within the existing structure with the following breakdown. Again, 383 square feet of dining area, 350 square feet of kitchen prep area, and 250 square feet of storage. We're also recommending approval of the variance to allow the 9 parking spaces to be provided off-site at a location within 400 feet of the main entrance, provided the applicant has a 10-year lease for the off-site parking spaces. The reasons for granting the variance are presented below, and I will read those all into the record, and it's fairly lengthy. So the variance is in harmony with the purpose and intent of the ordinance, because the purpose listed in the off-street parking section of the ordinance states, the regulation of off-street parking spaces in these zoning regulations is to alleviate or prevent congestion of the public right-of-way and to promote the safety and general welfare of the public by establishing minimum requirements for off-street parking of motor vehicles in accordance with the utilization of various parcels of land or structures. The goal of this expansion is not only to expand menu offerings, but also to create working efficiencies. If these goals are met, the public congestion of customers would be moving through the space faster, creating less long-term parking, both in the private lot as well as on the street. Mi Cartagena Cafe also has a unique setting where a large percentage of customers who frequent the coffee shop are also guests of the hotel that shares the same parking lot, or by arriving on foot or on bike or coming from the lake, access across the street. There's also abundant street parking along Westlake Drive. This variance will allow off-site parking spaces within 400 feet of the main entrance of the business. The variance is also consistent with the comprehensive plan. The plan identifies the following goals that are consistent with this variance request. Promote private reinvestment in Detroit Lakes properties through building renovation, expansion, and maintenance. The investment of Mi Cartagena's building renovation and expansion to provide larger space for the cafe falls directly in line with this goals, as this is a private woman-owned business looking to expand their offerings. Promote the redevelopment and expansion of existing businesses within the city to obtain a higher level of sales and business attraction. The cafe has been in business in its current location for 6 years. The goal of this expansion is directly tied to attempting to obtain a higher level of sales and business by adding an expanded menu and more indoor seating. Business owners indicated that Detroit Lakes provides a positive environment for continued commercial growth and the potential for expanding the tourism business. The cafe has been a very important attraction for tourism business, as the offerings are not matched by any other business in the area. In terms of experience and menu offerings, being able to expand the menu and indoor seating would only grow the tourism opportunities. Number 3, the proposal does put the property to use in a reasonable manner. The property owner is proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner. The current zoning ordinance would require 27 parking stalls for the 10-room hotel and the coffee shop. This is more parking than what is necessary for these businesses to operate at capacity. The current property houses a 238 square foot coffee shop inside a home where the rest of the space is currently used as storage space. To expand into existing home and add more seating, a larger kitchen space, storage, and restrooms would not require any additional building space to be added to the property. The number of seats added to the cafe would increase from the current 4 seats to around 12 seats inside the existing building. Number 4, the circumstances are unique to the property. The site does not have room for additional parking, and adjacent property is not available for expansion. Also, the site has limited options for shared parking beyond the existing shared parking with the hotel. The property owner has approached the adjacent Becker County Agricultural Society on the north side of the site about a potential shared parking stalls in the existing parking found on their fairgrounds. Little Detroit Lake and Westlake Drive on the south side of the site limits the availability of any other shared parking options. And finally, the variance will maintain the essential character of the locality. This variance maintains the essential character of the locality. Mi Cartagena Cafe has been a neighborhood asset for 6 years and offers a unique experience and products that are not provided by any other business in this neighborhood. The expansion would allow for a better work environment for employees, a restroom on site for staff, expanded indoor seating, as well as an expanded menu offering Mi Cartagena Cafe as part of the commercial fabric along Westlake Drive. So again, staff recommends approval of the non-conforming use expansion permit and the parking variance.
Great, thanks, Larry. All right, at this time, I'll go ahead and open up the floor for any comments. If you'd like to make a comment to the commission, please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have a couple of minutes.
Hi, my name is Curlis Westbrook, and I owned Mi Cartagena and in 702 Westlake Drive. And this proposal is to work within the building. It's not expanding anything. It's really just making a better workplace for me, and then be able to hire someone and have, a better service and better space for my customers, as sometimes it's cold or rainy or whatever, and I don't have any room for even to take orders because I'm very limited space. And my 200 square feet, really, it's really half of where I work and then half of where a little bit of my customers fit in. So I don't have anything in there right now. And then I would like the opportunity to do that, to expand, and then because my customers love my coffee shop, and then they want me to continue to do it, and I want to be able to provide it in a better, efficient way. And then we talked to the Becker County already, and then they're very happy to let me use their parking, obviously, but then I don't know nothing about the distance. I just know that we're right behind, and we have access. So that's all we have. And then we are gonna restripe the parking and use, all what we have to use, cover the parking. And Sarah, you can say something. I don't.
Hi, I'm Sarah Carlson with Tyson Design Studios. Curlis hired me as a consultant. I am an interior designer, so parking lot striping is not my area of expertise, but walking through the typical steps to get a project approved is. So we have tried to think creatively. We have tried to look at all of the existing conditions on that street. As you're well aware of, it is a popular tourist area, and I think her business is always busy, but has this unique situation of having a lot of her clientele is coming directly from the coffee shop next door. We, as Curlis said, as the variance request said, we did talk to the Becker County Agricultural Society and propose this idea. They were open to creating this. That was not their first choice. In fact, what they said is they would like to see that as the second option, which is why we asked for forgiveness of the parking spaces as well as forgiveness of the dollars tied to that. From my perspective, Curlis's small business can't incur that cost of almost $23,000 to pay for parking, those 9 spots that we can't find. So she has been working really hard before she hired me. She's worked with an architect. She has worked with a commercial kitchen supplier. She's thought through this space. And I think just the efficiencies for her and the potential for her to be able to hire staff really will move people through this space faster.
And my customers really walked in, bike a lot because everybody's enjoying the summer, as I am really pretty much a summer place, because right now I cannot, it's pretty slow. So like, I don't have a space, I don't have, you know, I want you guys to support me because I need you guys to support me. I hope you guys have some good things and then approve it. Take a headache out of me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments? Anyone else would like to address the commission?
Good evening, Brant Bigger, 13248 US Highway 10, Lake Park, Minnesota. I'm here representing Becker County Agricultural Society, which I'm a board member of, or Becker County Fair Board. Yes, she came in and approached our board, I believe it was our September meeting, and we are open to the idea of allowing her to use our space for parking. Listening to the requirements, have a lease in place, I think that's something that we can work through with her to make that happen. We don't, again, our first preference would be for you to forgive the parking requirements so that she can use her own spots and not require use of ours. But if it is essential for her to move forward and you guys require it, then we will work with her to provide those additional 9 parking spots.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to address the commission? All right, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing, open it up for discussion. Anyone from the commission?
I guess I just have one question for Larry. In terms of the 10-year lease, what was the reasoning behind the 10-year time period?
Well, we wanted it to be long-term, but we didn't want it to be forever. So that's, if 10 isn't the right number, I'm not sure what is. But I do think that there's a need to provide some sort of alternative parking spaces because of the amount of parking congestion that's taking place down there already.
Yeah, I got a question for Curly's. I drive by and I think that it's the motel's parking. So all the parking that I see is people parking on Westlake Drive. That's my route to town every time I come into town every day. So do you have an estimate of how many of your non-residential, the people that are staying at the hotel, are actually going into your parking lot to park for the use of the cafe? Yeah, it seems to me that most of your customers already park on Westlake Drive.
Carlos, could I ask you to come up to the podium? Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
They usually, mainly a lot, they park in the motel, and then because the motel is not busy all day, the customers leave and come back, and so they come, go, and then they park on the side where I'm gonna restripe that side. That park side is always used. The first option they have is that one, really. They always come in there.
Okay.
And everybody just come and go, grab their stuff and go, and then some customers hang out for a little bit, but really it's not a long-term parking in there. Everybody's very conscious about that, so they spend 20 minutes, whatever, and they keep going, because there's more people come, so I can have more business. And I may add too that you have to consider obviously too that the other businesses are around Westlake Drive that have no parking, and then and I'm just there's many other businesses that had that issue, And I don't know how they're being approved, but I mean, you had to compare and think about me and be like, you know, I don't have that high traffic, and I don't think what I'm doing is gonna do that. It's making it better for me to work as a business, you know, because I really don't want to continue to work in that little room.
Yeah, I was just I drive by and I wouldn't think of parking there. I would think of parking on Westlake Drive. And, because I was thinking that's the motel and the people have the doors for the motel, that's for the people that are in the doors. But
And they do.
I have a concern about having more spaces in there that people have an awareness to go ahead and use the parking lot.
It's kinda
To
like-
make it less congested. I don't know, some kind of signage so they know that there's parking there as well. And in the interest of safety, yeah. No, I fully support the increasing the cafe. I think that's a great idea.
Any other questions?
I do have one more question for you. Well, I hope only one more question. Sorry. I'd like to thank you for the time that you took in putting this package together in front of us. It was very detailed orientated. It was very organized and very approachable for us to understand what your needs were in future expansion. So I'm very
Thanks,
thankful.
Sarah, for that. That's right.
I'm assuming, I've been in the hospitality business for over 25 years, I'm assuming your hotel is not 100% occupied all the time.
No.
Do you have an average of what that occupancy is over the season?
I mean, as we are a summer, you know, town and summer business, you know, obviously summer is busy, but then we have that time frame that we have customers are there, and then they mainly leave, you know, to go to town, shop, have breakfast, you know, and then come back, and my customers come in and see the spa and they park, and then I let them know, like, you know, no loan, you know, and then customers go get their coffee, leave, you know, and it's not really like, you know, I don't know.
Would you say you rent out the motel or hotel 70% of the time, 60% of the time, 100% of the time?
I guess, you know, maybe 70% of the time, and it depends on the weekends, obviously, and everything like that. During the week, it's more quiet and stuff like that, but it doesn't bother us at all. You know, like, we have a very good flow. You know, customers are very understanding of the parking, how my space is small, and then they just really work with me and everything, like waiting for me and everything, because I don't have a lot of parking or space inside the coffee shop right now. So then that is why people see the line and stuff, because people are just waiting because they know, you know, what I run into. And then I totally and 100%, you know, supported by the customers that, you know, I should get my renovation done, but it's been on my way. I don't know, I can do nothing about parking. There is no way I can get any parking. I cannot pay this fee neither, because I'm a seasonal business. It's just, you know, I've been trying to grow the business, you know, through a season that is very short, you know, and I cannot afford for a seasonal to see I can pay for that, you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion or questions?
I guess I just have a comment or two.
By all means.
I guess I'd like to thank you for deciding to expand in place, because this is one of those pieces within, you know, Westlake Drive, as that's gonna be all redeveloped, that it's going to be a bigger and bigger issue each and every time that somebody decides to make progress down there. There's a parking issue already down there, and the body that makes decisions above this, I feel, shot themselves in the foot by not approving the parking lot down there. Just an editorial comment, and I'm not on that board any longer.
Second that comment.
But this is gonna be a larger issue, and we've got these smaller lots, and there is no place, even if you were to, you know, tear down the entire motel, I don't think there's enough parking spots to really achieve what we are requesting. So I think this is just the start of the conversations for parking variances, parking districts, and it's a much larger conversation. So I think in terms of getting the ball rolling, I think this is just a test case for what is going to be necessary as this all unfolds over the next coming years with development, redevelopment of the pavilion, redevelopment of Westlake Drive. So I guess I'm in favor of the variance, both for the expansion and for, the reduced requirements for parking spaces. What that all looks like in the end, I don't know. If it's a 5-year lease, 10-year lease, if we require a lease, I don't know.
Was that a motion?
It wasn't necessarily a motion just yet. I was opening up for further discussion from
Okay.
the
Well,
rest.
I like the way you started the discussion.
I mean, I think the thing that comes to mind for me is, it sounds to me like we're leaning towards the idea of we want to do this, we want the expansion. The question that's probably at hand is, do we require the 9 off-site parking spots, or do we waive the requirement? And I think that's the question I would pose to all of you to think about here as we consider a motion.
Given the parking situation down there, it seems that it would be reasonable to require them to try to provide some parking.
Yeah, I think to Larry's point is and just looking at what we've done in the past to some businesses is looking at, is there a reasonable alternative close? And this seems like a reasonable alternative.
What's the right length of time as well? I mean, if you'd like to come back up and readdress, that's just fine.
One item that the Fair Board did discuss is if we allow this business to, use some of our space for parking, with in mind the plans for future redevelopment down there, are we setting a precedent for ourselves or for the commission or any of those other sort of things where, hey, the Fair Board allowed, Company A to use some parking spaces. We see this as a one-off. As this one situation, we don't want it to become a habit for ourselves, just because that's not our purpose, is to provide parking for other businesses. So, that is something that we did have a discussion about. It is in our mind with, the planned or foreseen future development in that area, is that we don't want to be the go-to for parking for every business that pops up along there.
Thanks, appreciate that. One thought that comes to mind too is the length of time we would require offsite if we required it. Because if we require 10 years and then, used 0% of the time, is 10 years the right length, By all means.
I have to say something else. I just don't understand why continue saying requiring parking. I mean, like, why can't you grant me, the forgiveness of the parking when there is many businesses along Western Drive already that had that issue, and then they are performing very well, more biggest business than me, and just a simple coffee shop, trying to be a normal coffee shop like La Barista, like, where my customers can't find anything that I need to be supplying right now that I can't because of my room. And then, so there is a new place, the heaven, whatever, and then they're trying to make the same thing that I'm doing, and they don't have no parking. So how does that work out? Tell me. Or how is that the Hub 41 don't have parking either, and they are forgiven? How is that Sorbet is forgiven? I'm not anything against them, I love them. But then it's like, why is it that you don't want to collaborate with me?
All right, Carlos, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, let's try to pull this together into a motion. What are the thoughts that all of you have? Or is someone ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the non-conforming use expansion permit and the variance for the parking, provided that a 10-year lease is obtained for those off-site parking based on the staff recommendation.
All right, So we have a motion on the floor to
And I
approve.
would second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve both the non-conforming use expansion and the parking variance to allow 9 off-site parking spots per the, matching the city's recommendation. Is there any discussion on that motion?
I'd just like
Go
to
ahead.
thank the Agriculture Board for being so cooperative on this. Appreciate that a lot.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Carlos, this will go to the Community Development Committee on Monday, the 10th at 11:30 back there. We'll have another discussion on that, and then we will bring a recommendation forward to the council, which will meet here at 5 PM on the 10th, where we will make the final decision. All right, with that, let's go ahead and move on to item 3D. I will call to order a public hearing to give consideration to rezoning property from R2, 1 and 2 family residence to RM multifamily residence district at 204 and 220 Willow Street for Circle North Properties. Larry,
Yes, this is a request from Circle North Properties to rezone the property at 220 Willow Street, the former Lincoln School property, from R2 1 and 2 family residential to RM multifamily residential. The zoning change is consistent with the comprehensive plan for the following reasons. One, it will provide an infill development of compatible land uses which the comprehensive plan encourages. And two, the project will foster civic pride by creative use of the Lincoln School building, which is part of the city's heritage. Two, the zoning change is in the public interest as it will provide housing to meet the changing needs of the community. Three, the residential uses in the area are compatible with the proposed zoning classification. And four, the character of the area has changed over time, and due to the closing of Lincoln School, the proposed multifamily zoning is a reasonable use of the property. So based on this report, I recommend approval of rezoning of 220 Willow Street to RM multifamily residential district.
okay, thank you, Larry. I'll go ahead and open up for public comment. If you'd like to, please come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Chelsea Mankey, 519.5 North Shore Drive, and I'm with Circle North Properties. I just wanted to make one clarification. Larry, on the staff report, it's listing the 86,911 square feet and the density of 32 residential units. I just wanted to clarify that this should include the both addresses, the 204 and 220 Willow Street, as well as not a limiting to the 32 units, but in accordance to the zoning rules with RM. And I'll be available for any other questions you have.
Okay, any further comments? If you'd like to address the commission, please come and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Avis Kellerhus, and the property that is adjacent to that development place, so I guess I
And
wasn't
what, I'm
really.
sorry, Avis, what's that what's their address?
209 Chairman,
Thank you.
and that would be on the north side. The alleyway would be splitting that, but my concern is this just going to be, because there is a need for housing, I get that, there's no problem there, or apartments, but how many units is proposed? Cause I just heard that the gal that just spoke, not limited to 32. You're putting in more than 32 living spaces in there?
They're requesting a zoning change,
Okay,
and then that zone has a limit on how many units can be put in. You can have one unit for the first 7,500 square feet and an additional unit for each 2,500 square feet. So I don't know what that exactly is because I just used the one lot, so I'd have to add the other lot into there. But there is a limit on how many units can go into that site.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we can't put 3,000 little units in there, so I wasn't
Right.
glad for that. But also, is this meeting just for the purpose of the rezone?
Yes.
And more meetings will come later as to development, assess, obviously, I'm new here. I've
Yes,
never
this-
been to a meeting.
this
so I'm
meeting is
being
just-
informed.
This is just for the rezoning.
Okay. Thank you.
Second part of her question, what's to follow up on?
Well, the follow-up would be, if they choose to build according to all of the rules of the R4 district, they could just go ahead and get a building permit and do that if they meet all of the requirements. If they decide that they want to do something unique with the property and add some commercial element, they would have to get a conditional use permit. That would require additional public hearings. But if they just do a multifamily development, they could go straight to a building permit at this point.
Once the rezoning is
Once the
is
rezoning
approved.
is complete,
Okay.
which would take 2 readings.
All right. And then, yeah, because I guess I would like to have opportunity to also be on further discussions on that property since today is only for zoning.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the way that it would work is further discussions, if there's a public hearing, you'll have the opportunity to address the commission again in the same way you are today about any of those, conditional use
because there's
permits or
neighborhood
difference.
issues.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you would like to address your concerns directly with the developer outside of this meeting, that's entirely up to you.
Well, both, I mean, I could do both because the more you voice, maybe somebody might actually understand.
I guess
and
what I'm
hear.
trying to say is, it may not come back before us again after the rezoning.
Oh.
Because they will have a zoning ordinance, then if they comply with the zoning ordinance, they don't have to come back before the commission or the council for that. That would fall under the standard building permit, which they would go to the city and get a building permit and then build.
Right, I mean, I just have a whole list of other concerns outside of this zoning.
Sure.
For that area, lifelong resident there. So I know that there are issues.
Sure.
And, yeah, I mean, with the 9% proposed increase for property taxes, home insurance, and now we're getting more development going on. Our streets are ruined because of all the hospital stuff. I mean, pocketbooks are kind of tight nowadays.
Sure.
So that is my main concern, to find out information
Okay.
and to make, what would be good for that neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Because,
You
yeah.
have- You have anything else related to
No.
the zoning?
No, thank you.
Nancy, did you
Yeah,
have a
I was
question?
gonna make one comment. I think that maybe Larry and the city can help you with understanding what is allowed in the RM district as far as screening and number of people and size of the building. That you might have an understanding that if they don't come back, it's because they're compliant with all of those things that are in the zone. So,
Okay, and that's all, I appreciate that, but, is there any recourse then for the neighborhood or neighbors to, once it's already approved for development, is there anything that we can do as a community along Willow, Sherman, Lincoln Avenue that, neighbors might have to address? Because there are issues with runoff from that place that just runs right off. And
So-
so there's just
yeah.
lots of things.
I mean, I'll leave you with this. The ordinance addresses many of those issues with requirements. That's why they exist, so that the city can regulate that and can ensure that we comply with that there's compliance with building requirements, things like that. And like I said, the city can help you understand that. And then from the standpoint of if they're within that and you have concerns, I would really encourage you to talk to your city council representatives, because they're your best representative in how we structure the ordinances in the city.
I can only tell you that stormwater regulations have changed a lot since Lincoln School was built.
Well,
there's
right,
that.
70 years ago, and we, parents are kind of upset that that little playground is
Right.
all gone.
All right, thank you, Avis.
Thank you.
Are there any further comments for the commission? Would anyone else like to address the commission on this issue? Any further comments? All right, hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion. Who would like to go first?
I have a question for Larry, and that's the neighborhood I grew up in. I am curious as to, and I went to Lincoln School. I don't quite understand historically how that is still in R2, if it's a somewhat commercial building. That
I'm
we're going from
sorry.
an R2 to an RM.
Going from R2, which is residential, to RM, which is also residential,
Right.
schools have always been allowed in a residential district.
So they are zoned R2, schools
Yes.
are? Okay.
Yes. Schools generally attract residential development, so that's been that way for a long
Yeah, I
time.
used to walk a block to that school. I never thought about what it was zoned, so it's kind of an education for me.
Yeah, I'm sure, younger Nancy was very concerned with zoning.
Not so much.
All right, further discussion? Or a motion?
I guess I'd make a motion to rezone this parcel at 204 and 220 Willow. Is that what those are?
Yes.
As long as we understand what you're talking about, that will work.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to rezone the properties at 204 and 220 Willow. Make sure I got that right. 204 and 220 Willow Street East from R2 to RM. Any discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So this will go to the CDC 11:30 on Monday, the 10th, and then the council will discuss and make its first reading, if we approve it, at 5 PM here in the council chambers on the 10th. Great, thank you. All right, on to new business. Item 4A, consideration to a resolution stating TIF District 45-1 conforms to the comprehensive plan of the city. Larry, can you bring us up to speed?
Yes, this is the tax increment financing for the port on Little Detroit, which is the former bowling alley property.
Okay. And it's in
The
compliance?
plan is to construct 14 townhome units on that site.
Great.
Nothing's changed from the original plan. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
Do you
entertain
need
a motion.
Formal motion?
Yes, I was just gonna say, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as presented, which I have right here. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Liz, what do you have for us this time on 4B?
I do not have anything.
Does anyone
not.
else have anything on 4B? Or anything else for that matter from the commission? Larry, anything else?
I have nothing else.
Kelsey, anything to add? All right, with that, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.